right, everybody. I'm back. Gonna be back. So why I want to do this quick Friday follow-up is because I want to go ahead and do a little bit of a follow-up from the big, mega, huge news from Thursday as Jordan Seaton, the #1 offensive tackle in all of high school football, committed to Colorado. As soon as that happened, it felt like everyone wanted to know, okay, who's next? Who's Coach Prime going after? And it feels like there's one name above all others that has emerged, and I want to talk about that player momentarily. Before I do, I always remind you, but make sure to click that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Help the channel grow. Help this audience grow. We're closing in on 30K. Cannot thank you guys enough for your support. By the way, I won't flash the t-shirt again like I did on Thursday, but for those of you who bought the Coach Prime gear courtesy of AT, truly appreciate it. Link is in the show description below. Really appreciate it. Obviously, listen, I give out free content. If you want to help me out, buy a little gift for the fan in your life, it really would help. Again, link is in the show description if you want to help out with some merch. With that said, let's get to the big news. And let's get to really the follow-up of the big news, right? So the big news, everybody knows by now, Jordan Seaton, #1 high school offensive tackle in the country, coming into Thursday. We know he's going to commit, right? And we talked about it. We did a reaction video and then a second reaction video. But obviously, goes into the day. It feels like it's down to Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon, and Bama. Feels like it's really Ohio. He just visited Ohio State. Tennessee seems to be trending. Then Jordan Seaton shocks the world, goes on undisputed with Skip Bayless, Michael Irvin, and Keyshawn Johnson, and ends up becoming a Colorado Buffalo. Well, as soon as that happens, everybody gets excited, but then it immediately becomes, okay, well, who's next for Coach Prime? He just got the #1 offensive tackle in America. He has signing day magic every single year. Who is next? And I bring it up because it feels like one name, as I just said a minute ago, emerged at the surface. I want to get to the player. I want to be clear. He is a player that is currently committed. And in case we have any fans of his school watching this video, I want to be abundantly clear. I'm not rooting for anything. I'm not rooting for Coach Prime to get this kid from your school. I am just talking about what all the, really for lack of a better term, what the streets are saying, what the internet streets are saying about what is going to happen. But the player that it feels like is going to be next on Coach Prime's list, it is a defensive back, top 150 prospect in all of high school football, Boo Carter, out of the state of Tennessee, currently committed to the University of Tennessee. Not saying I'm rooting for it, not saying I want to see Tennessee fail, not saying I want to see Colorado succeed. But as soon as Jordan Seaton committed, Boo Carter immediately became the next name that it feels like is trending towards Colorado. So let's get into who he is, what he's about. Is it going to happen? And oh, by the way, some other names to keep an eye on over these next couple weeks. First of all, if you follow this channel, you probably follow all the others. Boo Carter's a phenomenal high school football player, okay? Two-way player, special teams player. He's about 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet, somewhere in that range, 180 pounds. And listen, we all in life have a type, and Coach Prime definitely has a type, okay? This kid is a versatile player, a two-way player, can play offense, can play defense. I've seen film of him shredding up offenses. I've seen film of him returning punts and kicks for touchdowns. I've seen a film of him being the best defensive back on the field. I bring it up, Tennessee has recruited him as a defensive back, but obviously, look, Coach Prime has a little bit of a track record now. Travis Hunter proved it. If you are willing and capable of playing both ways, Coach Prime is going to give you the opportunity, and Boo Carter certainly fits that mold. We talked, by the way, a few weeks ago about Cam Michael, a two-way player out of Georgia who committed to Colorado. And so I bring it up because Coach Prime has proven that if you have the skill set and you have the work ethic, the desire, the energy, everything that goes into it, he is going to give you the opportunity. And so that's who Boo Carter is. But more specifically, I'm sure there's a lot of you wondering, including, by the way, I'm sure some Tennessee fans have straggled in here. And you say, well, okay, that's cool. He sounds like a good player, but why is it going to be Colorado? Or at least why does Colorado appear to be trending this direction as we get about 2.5 weeks from signing day? Well, there's a few reasons why. First of all, let me say this. As soon as Jordan Seaton committed, I started seeing all sorts of buzz, including, by the way, from 3 different places. I saw it from the Coach Prime corner of the internet, the people that follow Colorado and Coach Prime and his every move. I saw it from recruiting analysts who cover this stuff 365 days a year, know the high school players, know the high school coaches, know the high school buzz. And it was like, ooh, Boo Carter might be next. But you know who else? I'm not saying they've waved the white flag and are conceding defeat. But I know a lot of people in the Tennessee media and people, guys and girls that I love. It's not I'm rooting against them, but they even feel like, dude, Torres, this thing might be happening. There is a lot of smoke, and where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So Tennessee people are aware of it. I mean, if you Google Boo Carter right now, like the first five things that pop up are from Tennessee message boards, Tennessee pages, whatever. So Tennessee fans are well aware, or Colorado fans, are well aware. The media seems to be aware. And so that's one. But two, beyond that, it's not just name, school, Coach Prime, whatever. It's that there's real ties between the two sides. First of all, Boo Carter, he has been committed to Tennessee since way back in June. Home state school, committed there during the summer tour, the camp tour in the spring. I bring it up because over the course of this entire school year, keep in mind, some of these kids, even the committed ones, are going to new schools every single week. You know, Jeremiah Smith, the #1 player in America, he's been committed to Ohio State. He shows up on Florida's campus, Miami's campus, Florida State's campus every single weekend. Well, I bring it up because Boo Carter, since he committed, has only made visits to Tennessee and to one other school. And that was Colorado. He was there on September 15th. That was the weekend of the Colorado State game. That was the weekend where the Colorado, I think, was peak Colorado at that point. They were 2-0. They had beaten TCU. They had beaten Nebraska. They have that comeback. 10 million people are watching at 2 a.m. Eastern time. So I just bring it up because he was there. That was the only visit he took to any other school, as far as I know, the entire fall. So it speaks to he's not really interested in anywhere else, but if he's interested in anywhere, this was the one. Beyond that, and this is the important part, I think this is where people made all the ties and connections. You know who he's really close with? A guy by the name of Jordan Seaton. That's right, Jordan Seaton, who just committed to Colorado on Thursday. Him and Boo Carter are very close. They were on that trip together September 15th. They have known each other for a long time. And I think it's interesting. First of all, you heard Jordan Seaton's commitments when he committed, or comments when he committed. I got commitment on my brain here. Heard Jordan Seaton's comments when he committed about, you ain't a real dog if you ain't coming to Colorado. But these two are very close. As a matter of fact, this is very interesting. The reason that so many people going into Jordan Seaton's commitment on Thursday, no one really knew. He had just taken a commitment to Ohio State, or a visit to Ohio State. Again, got commitment on the brain. Just taking a visit to Ohio State. So Ohio State was trending a little bit. But most people thought, okay, it's probably going to be Tennessee. And most people thought it was going to be Tennessee. You know why? Because Jordan Seaton is really close with Boo Carter. So we know about these ties. As a matter of fact, we thought Jordan Seaton was going to go to Tennessee because of him. But now that Jordan Seaton is going to Colorado, the question is, can he do the opposite? Instead of Boo Carter getting him to Knoxville, can Jordan Seaton get this kid to Colorado? So it's interesting. It's worth monitoring. It's worth following. As I said, it feels like a lot more than just smoke at this point. Feels like there is definitely mutual interest, and it'll be curious to see if Coach Prime can close. About 2.5 weeks till signing day. Those two kids are close, Boo Carter and Jordan Seaton. As a matter of fact, by the way, Jordan Seaton, I believe, was tagging Boo Carter on stuff a day or so before his commitment. So it just shows you how small this recruiting world is sometimes and why there is so much buzz that Boo Carter could be next. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Boo Carter ends up decommitting. We'll see if, listen, sometimes there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of that. It ends up being nothing. But as I said, the second Jordan Seaton committed, my phone started blowing up, but also all the YouTube comments started blowing up. Twitter, social media started blowing up that Boo Carter could be next. By the way, a couple other names to keep an eye on. One, a guy that I actually talked about on this channel earlier this week. The name that I'm most intrigued by for Colorado, it's Jaquan McCroy. We've talked about him a lot this week, okay? Big kid, 6'8". He is a very quintessential offensive tackle. Now, he's a little more raw than Jordan Seaton. He might not be a day one guy like Jordan Seaton. But I bring it up because he visited Colorado last week. And so everyone was focused on, is this the kid Coach Prime is going to flip? Is this the kid that Coach Prime needs on the offensive line? Well, listen, You need 5 offensive linemen. You need 2 tackles. And Jaquan McCroy is a very intriguing prospect. Top 100 prospect. You know, some ratings have him the 4th, 5th best offensive tackle. Some have him the 6th, 7th, whatever. But he's a top 100 prospect. He is currently committed to Oregon. And so ultimately becomes a very interesting question of he's been committed. He's like Boo Carter. He's been committed since the summer. Can you flip him? Can you get him to come to Colorado? I've mentioned it many times. I don't think you take a visit 2 weeks before National Signing Day if you're not at least intrigued. It's also worth noting Jaquan McCroy has kind of referenced, hey, wherever I go, I want the opportunity to play early and play right away. Not saying it's going to be Colorado. As I just said with Boo Carter, not saying I'm hoping that any school loses recruits that they've invested so much time in. But this stuff happens everywhere in America. Everywhere in America, people have committed players going to other schools. People have committed players visiting them as we lead into signing day. So Jaquan McCroy is one. Boo Carter to me is probably the next most likely one. A couple other names, Draylon Miller, we've talked about him. He was on campus last weekend with Jaquan McCroy. Draylon Miller is a wide receiver, really talented, was committed to Texas A&M. And then unfortunately, he actually decommitted as a matter of fact, right before Jimbo Fisher got fired. So I don't want to sit here and say that Jimbo Fisher's firing was the reason that he decommitted, but I just bring it up because it appears as though he will be committing somewhere other than A&M. There were ties to LSU, there were ties to USC, but Draylon Miller, wide receiver, was on campus last weekend. And then the other one that I think is definitely worth noting, King Joseph Edwards. We've talked about him on this channel quite a bit. Great, very talented edge player, defensive lineman. What did Coach Prime say earlier this week? He said, we got 2 goals for next year. We need to run the ball better and stop the run. This is the kind of kid that you need. King Joseph Edwards from Georgia has ties to Nick Williams, the former defensive line coach. He was interested in Colorado originally because of Nick Williams, the defensive line coach. He has since gone to Syracuse. How about this? King Joseph Edwards visiting Syracuse this weekend. So, by the way, credit to the Syracuse coaching staff. Fran Brown from Georgia gets the head coaching job. Elijah Robinson, the Texas A&M defensive line coach, is now the defensive coordinator there. And, of course, Nick Williams goes as well. So they have a recruiting machine up there at Syracuse. I could go on and on, but you kind of get the point. I'm just fascinated to see what happens these next couple of weeks. You want to be subscribed and tuned into this channel. And lastly, I will wrap here with what I said on Thursday's update following Jordan Seaton's commitment. I understand the anti-Coach Prime people. Well, one player doesn't make the entire program. I get that, okay? What I am here to tell you, though, if I've learned one thing over the last couple of years following Coach Prime from Jackson State to Colorado, it's pretty straightforward. If you can get him in a room with a recruit, if you can get him in the room with the recruit's parents, there isn't a player in America that he can't get. He's not going to get all of them, but there isn't a player in America that he can't get. So we will see what happens. Stay locked in on this channel. We got so much Coach Prime, so much recruiting, so much portal content coming your way. Again, subscribe. And again, buy that merch. Link in the show description. Appreciate you guys.